want to thank you for joining me on a live video where we had some very disturbing news from this morning, and I'm afraid that this is not the kind of video that we enjoy bringing you all, but it is a video that has to be done. I'm going to flip my camera around here and show you something. So this is Barnadette's tower, her little tree tower, or her cat tree, whatever you call it. Here's a little thing of her food on the drop on the floor. And this here is a camera that I have set up where I recorded her last night at 2 in the morning, sitting here eating from her dry food, and she was also eating her wet food. My camera actually picked up the moment that her wet food slipped off onto the floor here, where she continued to eat it. You can kind of see the spot over there. But, and I'm going to try to stay composed as we make this video, but along the way, at some point, as Barnadette was leaving the barn, let me grab this over here. I need this. Friends, I'm sorry to say that this morning when we were out on the side-by-side driving down with all of the longhorns, we did run across a spot right over here where we saw what I'm almost certain is Barnadette's fur, meaning that as she made her way out and around the barn, and we know how much she enjoyed just living a lifestyle that allowed her the freedoms to come and go, I do believe, I'm almost certain that she was caught by a coyote, and that kind of lets me know that Barnadette is no longer with us. Now, the internet is full of other folks making their own speculations. Many are screaming and hollering that that was in fact rabbit fur. But I'll drive you over. And then I'm blessed that Miss Teresa was able to find me a picture. Actually, she sent me several pictures of Barnadette. And I used one of those pictures on my thumbnail so that you can kind of be reminded of Barnadette's colors. I did not bring the dogs with me because I don't want them to be a part of what we're going to go do. We're going to go set some traps. And I will let you all know that if this is not your kind of video, then it's funny, but somebody said recently, there's no one holding your fingers making you press play. I don't mean it in a mean way, but there's no one pressing your fingers on the play button. You're more than welcome to go do your own thing. I swung by and I got a few more steel traps. These are what you use when you're trying to catch animals as large as coyote. Guys, they're not bear traps. That seems to be something that a lot of people despise, is the types of traps that you use to grab an animal like a coyote. But we are not in fact I'll talk more about the traps when we get over there, but give me a couple of minutes. I will also be taking my rifle for a just in case scenario. That is not loaded, and it can sit right there behind me. All right, we're gonna make our way down now. And so the first thing I want to do is remind you all that if you've forgotten the way Barnadette looks as far as her colors, then you should probably go look at some of the pictures. You can find one on the thumbnail of this particular video. And if that's not enough for you, then you can also go on any of the videos that I've recorded where we actually had Barnadette. And you can see that she was a mostly gray and white. Barnadette was gray and white. And I mean, I'm not saying with 100% certainty, but the fur that we found over here is in fact gray and white. I will tell you that it's not, with 100% certainty, it is not a deer. And I'll also tell you that with the same amount of certainty, it's not a rabbit. So I'm not trying to argue and fight with anybody, but I am trying to let you know the truth of the matter is that I'm pretty certain that as Barnadette was making her way around, enjoying the freedoms that she's always enjoyed, I do believe that she got caught. More than likely, the way that we know. So we know that coyotes do hunt. They do hunt in packs. And they could very well have surrounded her and at some point snatched her up. More than likely, they drug her over to here. And at this point, they pretty much did. So now that the lighting might be a little bit better than what we saw this morning, I'll absolutely allow you guys to do any kind of speculating that you want to. But you can see the gray, you can see the white, you can in fact see a lot of the colors there from our sweet girl. But not now, sir. Well, I don't have time to fight with him right now. We're not coming to do muffins right now, buddy. I love you, Chuck, but we're not coming here to do muffins right now. If you're asking yourself, where's the rest of Barnadette? What would have happened right there? And I know it's windy and it's probably hard for you to hear. It'll be a little bit easier to hear once I get over to the tree line. But if you're asking about where is the rest of Barnadette, the pack of coyotes would have carried her off. They would have did all of their killing right there in that area. But for the most part, they would have taken and carried her off, and you don't know which direction they would have gone. But the reason that I'm going to go this direction is because of what happened maybe a week or so ago, and I'll be happy to tell you that part of the story in just a moment. Let me try to find a way out of this wind. I know you're having a hard time trying to struggle to hear me talk, and I don't know for a fact if I'll find a place where we can talk, but maybe coming down through here it'll be a little bit easier. I will stop my side-by-side right here. This will be the first place that we're going to talk and work. And I just want to remind you that this is a video not about, there's not going to be humor and laughter and joy and all of those things in this particular video. It is a live video. And so what I'm doing today is I'm going to be setting myself a series of traps I chose to set the traps over on this side because the day that we saw the coyotes crossing the pasture, I'm going to point, and you can kind of see the direction where my fingers are pointing. They came from that way, and they came straight here to where I am right now. They came under the fence right here where I'm standing, and they went off in this direction. So we already know, and you guys are welcome to do your own research on Google or however you research. But coyotes do have a very large perimeter that they hunt every night. And it's very possible that they make rounds. I have a theory that because of so many people who dump their trash over on this old back road, that might give the coyotes that live in this area a supply of food, because they can dig through that trash and find things to eat. You guys already know that we've always found bits and pieces of trash along that back area, and I've always wondered how or who is dragging trash into my pasture. And it could very well be that it's the coyotes that are doing that. So let's go ahead and get started. So what I brought with me today, and I have a whole lot of things back here. I'm going to need this tripod because I cannot hold the phone with one hand and be able to video with the other. This is going to require two hands, and I'll also need to put gloves on. So if there are any moderators who are watching, and I know it's kind of a weird time of day to be going live, I'm just going to ask you politely, folks, don't come here with your grievances against people who trap. What I told you that I would do, and I'll even make this a part of a video, by all means, if I end up catching a coyote, then I will transport it somewhere else. Even though the majority of you guys are going to say, no, if you catch something, you should go ahead and send it to the sweet by and by. Because all you're going to do is make that coyote become someone else's problem. But I do know this place out near Honey Hill, which might be a great spot. It would be a great spot for coyotes. But that was a joke. That was me trying to be funny, y'all. No. So Chuck is not going to come in here with me. He's wondering why I did not offer muffins. But let me go ahead and get this thing set up on my tripod. And then I will set you all down right over here, and you can watch what I'm going to do. But I do need to focus. And like I said, I did not bring any of my dogs with me, for the fact that I did not want them trying to follow and get themselves caught in these traps. Also, a couple of things that an experienced trapper would have done ahead of time is he would have taken his traps and he would have boiled them. He would have boiled his traps in a wax, and that wax would be able to mask all human smell. It would also mask all of the metallic smell. But that's wonderful when you're trying to trap things that are very clever, like fox and bobcats. But remember, coyotes are not quite as... they're not on high alert the way some other animals are. I mean, if the coyotes are over here eating on people's trash, if coyotes have found their way into the cities by now, in the suburbs, coyotes are not as leery of humans as what other animals might be. So you could probably never catch a fox, never catch a cougar, never catch a bobcat or a bear, any of those kinds of animals that purposely avoid humans. You would never catch them without going through a whole series of things you have to do to set a successful trap. But for a coyote who's not really as fearful of humans, any human smells that I may leave around, any metallic smells, it might make them a little bit leery. But if the trap set is done right, I believe we can still catch one, okay? And I will just say that I've caught many coyotes in my day. And so I do know a lot about trapping. So just bear with me. Let me get a couple of things set up over here, and we'll go ahead and get this first trap set up, and then we'll go down, and we're going to make our way down this lane, and we will set several traps, at least 4, maybe 5, and you're welcome to leave anytime that you're ready. You're welcome to leave anytime that you're ready. But I will show you one last time, just so you see. This is not rabbit fur. This is, in fact, more than likely, and it's not deer. And you can see for yourself that this appears to be quite possibly the underbelly fur on our sweet, sweet Barnadette. Now, can I say that with 100% certainty? No. And if you want to disagree, then by all means, you're welcome to your opinion. And I will hope that we will be able to see Barnadette show up. And then this whole thing over here will have been something else that was caught. But it's not a rabbit, and it's not a deer. It's not a possum. It's not a raccoon. Those things I'm certain of. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. So this trap has been here for a couple of days already. I came down and I did this on a members live. And I did this the same day I saw the 3 coyotes crossing through our property. I was fearful then. When I saw the coyotes then, it made me a little bit fearful to know of what might happen if I'm not careful. I'm going to turn this around so I can sort of see what I'm videoing. And you can also kind of watch what I'm doing over here if you choose to. All right. First thing I'm going to do is get on my pair of gloves. I'm going to try to avoid as much human smell as possible, especially around the trap area itself. And so I only use these gloves for trapping. These are not used to do anything else. These are, in fact, my trapping gloves. I'm going to show you a whole lot closer, that was a bad idea, view of what the trap actually looks like when it's set. So this is how your trap looks once it's set. And what you want to do is try best you can to get the ground where the trap is going to set to be as flush as you possibly can. It's hard because you have this, they call that part right there the pan. The part on top always sticks up a little bit higher than the trap around it. What you want your animal to do is put its foot right there. You need to have your trap 6 inches or so from your bait, because what an animal does is he'll put his foot here and his nose will go there. You don't want to put the trap right up on top of the bait, but about 6 inches back. I'm going to try the best I can to use a stick to slowly and gently push this down a little bit. It's a little bit high. I'm going to go as low as I can before I snap this thing, because you want that pan to sit as low as possible. All right, I think that's about as low as it's going to go. Now, this over here is called a pan cover. We'll put that right on the top of it. What you have to make sure that you do is do not let any sticks or anything get in the way of this area. Chuck, stay over there. I'm going to take this dirt here and fill it in around my trap, making sure to cover up as much metal as possible. There's the chain. I want to cover that chain. I'm going to also just gently, very gently sprinkle. And remember, I want to avoid sticks at all costs. Try to avoid any twigs or any sticks, because those are only going to mess you up. I will tuck that pan cover right there underneath the trap and inside of it. And now what I'm going to do is just gently, just very gently cover as much as you can. When you see large objects like this over here get in the way, you want to move those. because if that trap does end up closing at some point, you don't want to have any sticks that could impede the trap from closing all the way. The best thing to use is as much of a fine sand as you can, and you also want to try to use sand from around the same area. If I was to bring sand from somewhere else, animals might pick up on that. All right, what I'm doing over here now is I'm trying to kind of build away. Chuck, go away. That scared me. I heard something move. So this trap is actually chained to that stake, the stake that's in the ground right there. I don't completely trust that stake, and I'll tell you why. Last night in a different trap down the way, I did catch a raccoon, and that raccoon was able to bend that stake. And so what I did bring with me were different kinds of stakes. This is a tent stake. I'll try to put into the ground along with that stake, which will guarantee that if we do catch something, it's not going to be able to break its way out of there and pull itself out. That tent stake is a lot more durable. It's a lot heavier duty. Problem is, I'm hitting roots. I'm hitting roots for sure. There's a root system right there. So what I'll do is I'll take my hammer and I'm going to try to hammer down past that root. Now, this trap will not take a long time. I am not going to be able to get down past that root. That root's going to stick. It's not going to let me go down in through it. It's okay though. The coyote's not going to realize what's going on. All I know is I have him double trapped right there, and hopefully if I catch one, he's not going to pull himself out of there. All right, let's go ahead now, and I have to clean my area up. You can see where my footprints have made lots of marks around here, and you don't want that to look as disturbed as what it does. So you can try to go by and take your hand and just gently kind of brush things out of the way. I'm going to take things like this over here and stick stuff like this in the ground and make it look more natural. See what I'm doing over here? I'm just trying to make this area look a little bit more natural. And I'm also going to try, if I can, to create a system where if an animal does come by, it has to walk straight in towards the trap without being able to kind of go around the side of it. You want it to go straight at your bait, straight up at the bait. And if I put these little twigs here in the ground, that will kind of help it to where any kind of an animal is not going to be able to so easily walk around the side of it. You see what I'm saying? All right, so this is a pretty good looking set. What I have over here is a little bit of a sifter, and I'm going to take some sand and just sift it, gently sift it over the entire area. This will help hide my smell. And remember, like I said, if you guys are concerned about all of this metal showing, I understand your concern. But remember that coyote are not near as careful about stuff like that as what a fox may be. As a matter of fact, what we want it to do is step over that, step onto this. And that's where that pan is at. That pan will release and that trap will close around it. All right, we're about done with this particular set. What I want to do now is bait it. So I'm going to take me a little bit of this here. We're just going to use dog food. Like I said, for some types of animals, you will have different types of baits, but dog food will work fine here. I got to be real careful though, because my trap is almost ready. I don't want to do anything now to mess it up. So what I'm going to do is take myself my dog food. This is just canned dog food. It's the cheap stuff. And I'm going to take some of this and I'm going to let some of this liquidy stuff, the oil stuff, spill out. What I want to have happen is if this coyote comes by, I want to let him taste little morsels. I want him to taste these little morsels, get himself excited, get him all worked up. And then he'll come along this backside, and if you can distract him by those little morsels through here, he'll get so excited, he'll want to hurry up and rush over to here, and won't take as much time smelling on that. That makes sense to you all? There we go. Now, we have us, I'm going to go and use that same stick to kind of block that in there. So there we go. The last thing that I want to do is just kind of make a little bit more of this to make it look a little bit less. There we go. Okay. All right, I can take my gloves off now and we can stand back and talk about it, okay? All right, let's just go ahead and summarize what we've done. Okay, so if by chance a coyote comes from either direction, from this way coming across my pasture or from this way coming across, if they do come down this pipeline and they come up through here, his nose will begin to pick up the morsels of dog food. He'll walk himself over here and he'll start smelling and seeing these morsels of dog food. He'll get excited. He will see and he'll be able to smell an entire jackpot of dog food right there in that corner. Now, guys, the coyote does not know it's dog food. To him, it's just food. For me, it's bait. He'll hopefully be so excited that he'll walk right up, put his front paw right there. If his front paw goes right there, that trap will close around his paw. These are soft close traps. These are not bear traps. For those who are going to scream and holler and be upset about the pain and the brutality of a steel trap, just remember, you have so many different kinds of traps because of activists. These are soft grab. I said this morning that my nephew Jake has a fun thing he likes to do on videos where he literally will put his own hand in a trap just to show you that they're not going to mangle and break and destroy and rip bones and tear into your flesh. It will close and it will hold. Very similar to a Chinese finger trap, how those Chinese have those, hey, I can't get my hand out of this thing. You know what I'm talking about. All right, this trap is set. The reason that we want to make sure we put the little bit of a barricade on the sides of it is we want the animal to walk straight up into it. If it comes around the side over here, he'll never step on the trap. We need him to step right there. Last thing I want to do is make sure there's no twigs and there's no sticks anywhere in this area. Look at here. There's one right there. You have to make sure that you get those out of the area because any kind of twig can end up causing the trap not to close all the way. If it doesn't close all the way, the animal can pull his foot right out. All right, and this over here will be what we're going to call trap set number 1. This will be a very easy trap to check. We can drive right by the fence here in the morning and check this trap without ever having to come through the fence. Now, of course, I'm going to go ahead and make my way down. I do have a second trap over here that I set yesterday. That's the same one that we caught the raccoon in this morning. So I need to reset that one. What I'm going to do in this live is continue to go on down further and probably set 2, maybe 3 more on down. Now, you're more than welcome to come with me, or if this is not your thing, and I understand completely if it's not, then by all means, at least you know what we're doing, you know how we do it, and you'll have a little bit of better idea. I think the number one thing is you understand why we're doing it. Friends, we cannot allow the coyotes to begin to come over here and start taking our barn cats, or possibly even worse. And so that's just part of nature. Um, Sometimes you have to just, I don't want to say it in a mean way, but sometimes you have to fight back. You have to fight back. And that is, in fact, what we're doing. We're trying to reclaim the safety of all of our babies. Barnadette, bless her soul, was nothing but sweet and love, and she was everything beautiful about life. She found herself living here with us, coming by for a snack, the same way Waylon's coming by for a snack. And Barnadette was also with babies. We already know that. And so we did, in fact, and I'm almost certain we lost her last night. So I think I've covered everything, friends. I think I've covered everything. At this point, I'm going to close my side-by-side, make sure all of my tools are still here, and they are. And I'm going to go ahead and move on down towards the next one. I want to thank you guys for watching, and thank you guys for trying to understand that what we do here is not for everybody, but it's also not a Walt Disney production. This is real life. And sometimes you have to do things that are a little bit difficult to do. But what I told you is that what I would do is, if we do in fact catch a coyote or two, then I will go ahead and do what I think that most of you guys would recommend that I do, and just simply relocate that coyote somewhere further away, obviously further away from us, but far enough away from everybody to where he will not become a problem to anybody else who has a farm or a ranch. So if you are still here and you're interested in watching me set a second trap, so a part of setting a trap is location. The first thing you have to do is find what they call a game trail. A game trail is where your larger animals normally hunt for their prey. So an animal like a coyote, by choice, would like to catch things like rabbits, like squirrel, like armadillo, like, possums, field mice. And coyote would have a whole lot easier time hunting along a clear pasture like this than it would out in the woods. Sometimes folks don't understand that, but think about it for a moment. If there were a rabbit or any kind of animal trying to escape from a coyote, it could climb a tree, it could zigzag itself around, it could find a burrow to hide in, and the coyote would end up losing its chance to have dinner. So coyotes are smart. They'll trap and they'll hunt along places like this, where they have a whole lot better chance of catching something that they run across for dinner. So what I have to do is look for crossroads. We all know about these little crossroads, and a crossroad would be a great spot to set a trap, because you know that animals will be coming through there. Secondly, I can tell you that I can actually see the indentation of a trail going down through here. Now, I don't know what made that trail. I don't know what animals travel it. That's why they call it a game trail. Game, G-A-M-E, meaning animal trails. So what will happen a lot is animals like coyotes will walk along these game trails, hoping to find an animal cross from one side across to the other. And so there's another game trail going that direction. So there's a lot of game trails that cut off of this power line, off this right-of-way. And so I'm going to go ahead and set me a trap right through here. What I'm going to do is go ahead and start from scratch. I'll start from scratch to finish with this set. And I think I'll do it right here in the open. This is a really nice spot over here. And if you want to watch, I'll be more than happy to show you how we're going to do this. Like I said, from start to finish. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and put you guys down so I can see you and you can see me. And I'll get you at a position, an angle where you can see what we're doing over here. All right, remember, I'm not going to touch anything if I can help it. I want to stay as natural as possible. All right, I'm going to take my axe and kind of scrape away some of the heavy leaves and all of the stuff along the ground here. And remember that it's very natural for animals to dig whenever they want to bury food or look for food. So I'm gonna go ahead and dig me a little bit of a trench area, not too much of one. I don't want it to be too low, but enough space where I can set my trap and have that trap flush with the ground. There's my trenching right there. Here's my steel trap. Now to set the steel trap, I hope that you guys can see okay. What I want to do, I'm going to pull off that piece of paper, that plastic. I will use my feet because it's easier for me to use my feet to open both sides of the trap, like so. Peel your trap open, but to take this back side, if I can. This is a brand new trap, and it is heavy. Sometimes when they're this new, they make it a whole lot harder to set. Oh, wow. I may have to try something a little bit different. This is a really strong one. It just needs to be loosened up a little bit. If I was to take this trap and boil it, put some wax on it, it would make it a little bit easier. You have to also make sure that that pin, that pan is not too tight. And it in fact might be. I did not bring any tools with me. And remember, I have my gloves on. You must have your gloves on. You do not want to be touching your trap with your bare hands. All right, so I've just set my trap, and now I want to make sure I put it to where my trap is going to be setting flush in the ground. I'm trying not to move around a whole lot in this area. I do not want to disturb the area a whole lot. Here's the chain. I'll have to make sure to stake that down. I have me a 3-foot stake over here that I'll use. I'm going to hammer that down into the ground. For your stake, you have to use something that's going to be heavy duty enough where it can't be bent. All right, that's a really good job right there. I want to leave enough out of the ground where I can pull it up when I'm ready to go. So what I do is bring a secondary stake with me. This is a simple tent stake. I can put it in the same hole and they both fit. And that way, it just gives me a secondary source to make sure that if I do catch something big, it's not gonna pull itself out of here. All right, I'm gonna turn you guys around and show you what we have so far. The box cut that off. Okay. So here's what we have right over here. Can y'all see? I don't have it set up to where I can see what you're seeing. But we have our trap in the ground. I'm gonna take, while I'm wearing my gloves, I'm gonna put as much of this dirt that I moved out of here and cover as much of this trap as I possibly can, avoiding putting any sticks We don't want to have any sticks anywhere near the part of the trap that's going to close. I'll keep that pan completely uncovered for now. Can y'all see anything? Where is it at? There we go. Okay. Right there. So here's our area right over here. You want to make sure there's no sticks whatsoever, because if that trap does close and there's a twig or something stuck in it, it will allow the animal to pull itself out, okay? All right, let's go ahead and go grab me a pan cover. I'll be right back. All right, this is my pan cover. I'm gonna put that right on top and try to flatten it down the best that I can without having my trap spring on me. I don't want to spring it, but then I'm gonna take some of this dirt. I only want dirt. I don't want any sticks. I keep saying that over and over because you have no idea how many times I've ended up coming to check my traps and I found that I sprung one, but in all of that process, there was a stick that had gotten stuck in there, and I ended up not being able to hold on to what it caught because it's pulled itself out. This is looking really good. This is a very nice set. This is a really nice setup so far. The ground is perfect. Now I'm gonna take this twig and make sure I move off anything that could give me a problem. Okay, now it's time for a trivia question. Here, it's time for a trivia question. How many inches away do I want my bait from my pan of the trap? How many inches away do I want the bait away from the pan of the trap? Look at everybody saying 6 inches. So that's because I'm gonna demonstrate here, okay? Remember, if I were a wild animal, just use your imaginations. And I smell something. And let's just say the shovel here, the shovel is the bait, right? An animal's not gonna do this and put his hands on the bait. An animal will not do this. Instead, that wild animal is gonna walk up and about 6 inches away, depending on the animal, his front leg will go there, and then his nose will come in, like so, to eat. Picture how your dog eats. So about 6 inches, right? So in saying so, I need to go about 6 inches towards this tree over here to go ahead and dig my hole and bury my bait. This limb here is actually gonna be in a great spot. I have to kind of work around it a little bit and go down right through here. I have me a little shovel that I'm gonna use. And there's a few roots that are kind of hard to get around, but I'm gonna bury that bait straight down in this hole. Right there. Okay. Now I'm gonna make it to where if anything comes through here, it can't get right to my bait that easily. Okay, this is a great spot here. This limb here, I think might end up being in my way. I'm gonna move it to the back side over here. This limb over here, these twigs, I'm afraid are gonna get in my way as well. And I'll go ahead and move this little bit of dirt here to make that more of a, there we go. All right, my bait will go in this hole that I'm digging right there. We're not done yet, friends. Just give me a few seconds here to get everything set up. Let's go ahead and put our bait into the hole. The way I like to put bait in a hole is I will actually use a twig that oh, well, not a rotten twig, but I'll try to find me a twig that's strong enough, and I'm going to scoop some of this dog food in here and let it go into the hole. Remember, this is the jackpot. That's the jackpot find. I'm going to also take a few of these, the little particles here, and sprinkle them around on the ground. That's pretty big right there. Let's put that big one inside the hole. Remember, we're trying to get our animal excited, right? And all of these will get him excited. I'll put this stick over the hole so he can't get into it too easily. I'll also take a few leaves and kind of try to bury that a little bit where it kind of stays hidden. But remember, this is our trap here. We have to make sure the coyote comes right through here. So I have to build me a natural looking barricade to guarantee that. The way I'm going to do that is by taking things from around the same area. This log here looks like it belongs here. I'll put that one right there. And I'll take this one over here, which is also from the same area, and put it going across this way. And now we're almost guaranteed that whatever animal comes through here is going to walk right through here. There's my 6 inches to my bait. Foot will go right there. Trap will spring. He can't run off with the trap because it's stuck in the ground with that rod. Okie doke. Last thing I have to do before I can leave this area is I'm going to walk over here a little ways, pick up a few leaves, and just kind of make the place look more natural. Because what I done when I was sitting around and leaning over and everything else, I may have made it look like it's been disturbed. And you don't want the area to look too disturbed. A little disturbed is okay, but not too disturbed. There we go. That looks really good. I'm going to take my gloves off now and show you the entire setup, okay? All right, so we have a coyote coming down the trail towards us. He gets to a certain spot and his nose begins to pick up a smell. The smell is that dog food, right? He's looking around, he's following his nose. Remember, here's all the little particles through here. He's not going to walk from this way and reach over a log or this little piece of a limb to go into the bait. He's going to make the most logical route. He'll start sniffing through here, licking up these things, getting himself all worked up and excited. Once he gets himself kind of into a frenzy, he'll be a lot more reluctant to stop and smell around and look for any danger. Instead, he'll get all frenzied up and he'll jump right into the bait. However, what he will not realize is right here where my finger's at is a pan. It's a trap. If he puts his paw right there, that will close up around his paw and it will have him trapped. And tomorrow morning we come by here and we have ourselves a coyote in this trap. Now, the downfall to putting a trap in a place like this where a lot of game come by, game meaning other types of animals, raccoons, possum, whatnot, is that sometimes you may end up catching a raccoon or a possum before you ever see the coyotes come by. And that could be a problem. We don't want to catch a raccoon. We caught one of those over here this morning. We want to make sure we catch the coyote. So you really do hope that you can have all your traps set and be out of here. And then whenever the coyotes do come, everything is ready for them. Okay? I'll pick up my tools. I'll also pick up my can of dog food. And that label I pull off of that trap. I will say that I feel really good about this set over here. If I had to rate the settings, I would say that I would give that set over there maybe an 8. I like it, but it's not perfect really. I really like this one over here. Does anyone think they might know why I prefer this set over set number 1. So we have 2 sets. Does anyone think they might know why I prefer set number 2 over set number 1? I know the chat is a little bit behind. So, yes, okay, so Angel Nolan says because of the crossing trails. Yes, Angel, you're right. Angel, you're very right. Angel, think about something for a minute. The game that crosses through here knows that when it goes from one side to another, it's very vulnerable. And they're going to be very fast to cross through here. So the coyotes will have to be able to react fast, right? We don't really think we'll have much game cross over here because there's not any game who's going to go across our pasture. There's not a reason to. It's wide open space, and they'd be foolish to go across a wide open space. In saying so, we would have less coyotes hunting over there. We'll have more coyotes hunting over here, if that makes any sense to you whatsoever. And I think that Angel completely gets it. I'm sure that she does. All right, I'm going to pick up and take the trap from this morning out of here. Now, you guys did not actually see this trap when I set it. I did that on my own time. But I will say that the raccoon that I caught just completely tore up this area. I mean, this area has been completely destroyed. And once you catch something, it's actually difficult to reset your trap in the same area because it's already been, well, look what he's done. He's actually twisted himself all up into this shrubbery. So I want my trap out of here. So I'm going to just take my axe and cut that little piece of shrub down. And while I'm at it, I'll go ahead and take that same piece of shrubbery maybe and stick it in the ground over here just to make that spot look a little bit more natural. I'm going to one-hand this, y'all. Just hold on a minute. Miss. Just, this thing needs to be sharpened. That's dull. This is really dull axe, y'all. Just, you know what? Just never mind. I'll come get it later. I'll come get it later. Gosh darn it, Lester. Come on, get the darn thing out of there. Y'all bear with me. Just bear with me. This raccoon from this morning, boy, he was something. There we go. Okay, got my trap out of there. I'm not going to reuse this trap. It has to be cleaned off first. Remember, when I would have caught that raccoon, he would have been able to, like, end up urinating all over everything. And the hormones, or whatever he releases, is going to make any kind of animal that comes by here a little bit leery because they can pick up on stuff like that. You guys know what I'm talking about. So it would be foolish to try to reuse that same trap if I just caught something without giving it time to air out first or to boil it out good. Okay? All right. So now y'all, you've been a part of 2 sets. We have set number 1 and we have set number 2. So I still have an audience. And I still am under an hour. If you want to go do one more, we can. Or we can just sit and talk for a minute. So let's go ahead and find out from you all. So if you want to do trap number 3, just say trap 3. Or you can just say let's talk. And that's completely up to you. So I see a let's do it. I says your call. 3, set. Fine. No one wants to talk to me. I'm playing. All right. Let's go on down a little bit and find us at least one more nice place to set a trap out, okay? And we'll get one more set in the ground. And remember, tomorrow morning, you're going to have to come by with me to check these things, okay? I want to get at least 50, 75, 100 yards or so away from my other set. You don't want to end up having too many sets in the same area. What I'm looking for now, I think I've traveled far enough. What I'm looking for now is a game crossing. I'm looking for game trails where animals crisscross, where I might be able to have me a nice set. Just driving by real slow. We're not in any kind of a rush. I don't really see any areas where game may travel through here. And like I said, you want to try to stay on those game trails the best that you can. This is the area of somebody's deer feeder. Now, there's no one hunting over here right now, so I'm not concerned with any hunters coming by and seeing anything. This might be a good area. The reason I say that is looky here on the ground. There's something all over the ground there. What do y'all reckon that is? This might be a pretty good area through here, and it also gives us a nice place to turn around if we need to. And then here's our game trail. You can see the game trail has been patted down into the ground, going right down through those woods there. So let's go ahead and make this be our area. How about it? And as far as location goes, let's go ahead and go. Oh, there's the other side of the game trail right there, going straight ahead. Looky here. I hope you can see from the camera, there's a trail right in front of us that goes right through there. My hand may be blurry, but that's the other side of the game trail. So this would be a good spot for a trap. It's not too far from our gate where we have to come in. Oh, I'm rolling. And so now what we need to do is find us the best natural looking spot. We want to find a natural looking spot that we can make look set up. And in case you're wondering why would an animal be so foolish to find food that's already been buried, it's because a lot of animals will bury their food, friends. They actually will bury their food and come back and get it later. That's something that almost all animals do, even domestic animals. So there's nothing weird about that. So what I'm actually looking for right now is a place I can set my trap where I have some natural foliage, but I also am trying to find some limbs along the ground that I can use to kind of set up to help make that little barricade to where it looks more natural. And remember, if I take a limb from over there and move it over here, the smell is going to be different. Animals can pick up on stuff like that. So you want to try to use foliage in the same area if possible. And I mean as close to possible as possible. As close as possible. Okay? So let's go ahead and come right through here. If you guys are okay with this. It's a little bit off the trail, which is fine. But we do have that game trail right over there. So we're close to a game trail. We can put our stake in the ground. And there's nothing wrong with going up alongside trees like this. A lot of times, animals that travel down through here, especially males, will stop and pee on locations like this. So what we might could do is actually come in this little nook right here and set us a trap right there. And that might be a really nice location. Might get us a big male coyote. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. I don't know if those are ants, so I don't want to disturb an ant pile. That would not be good. The ants could devour all of the food before I ever have a chance to have anything come by here. So maybe I'll look around on this backside. And let's go ahead and do it. Let's go ahead and take this area here. I'm going to set you guys down, and then I'm going to drive my side-by-side. Nope, those are ants. Those are ants, and they are active. So I would be foolish to be putting my trap over here. But I want y'all to notice, look on top. All of that black stuff that you see is what they call scat. That would be animal droppings, wild animal droppings. And so, like I was saying, this is a spot where animals come by to pee and poop and possibly try to mark territory. We have more ants over here. It'd be real foolish to be putting bait around a spot where ants are going to be, because those ants could eat all of your bait up before you ever get a chance to do anything. You know, we could also try this actual telephone pole. Like I said, animals that are walking down through here are not really concerned with anything man-made because they're already familiar with it. A lot of ants through here, what I'm noticing. All right, let's go ahead and go here. This is good. There are ants, so we need to be a little bit careful, but I do believe I can use this structure over here to make sure the coyote comes in from the front side and does not come around the back side. Let's see if there's ants actually alive and working here, or are they all dormant? Okay, these ants are good. There's no ants here. They've abandoned this location. Okay, I'll set you guys up and I will be right back. Let me put you where you can see. I shall be right back, my friends, with all my materials. All right, first things first, we're going to clear out an area. The soft dirt makes it easy. A few roots. It's okay. All right, there's my little area where my trap is going to go right there. My 6 inches where my bait's going to go is going to be right over here. All I'm going to do is cut into this ant bed a little bit so I can dig it out a little bit better. Toss that dirt out of here. A lot of roots. So I think the most impressive animal that I've ever caught, I caught a gray fox once. Me and Uncle Dan have caught a number of coyotes. I caught a bobcat once. Trying to get that root out of there, but it may not want to come. And this is all stuff we would catch in Plum Grove before Plum Grove became so developed. Okay, there we go. All right. Let me get my stuff. Come on. I got my trap set over there. because I knew it'd be hard to set over here on the softer dirt. I'm going to get my trap as low to the ground and then start building me stuff around it. I can't forget to put the stake in the ground. I won't. The soft stuff is easy to work with, but I don't want it to get in the way of the actual trap. Let me get my stake and stake this thing down right quick.